Hello everyone, we're back. You know, I said that Raph wasn't here, but in reality, he's been here the whole time. We're just joking. Isn't that right, Ralph?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so good to have you back, man. So tell me, what's happening in the news?
There really hasn't been that much to talk about. All we know about Destiny 2 right now is that it's trying to get back to Destiny 1.
Oh, Ralph, you're so funny.
So it's been good times for Ubisoft, am I right, guys?
I don't think I completely agree with your opinion on that one.
Now, as we know, Sam, EA is our favorite developer because they have all the best business practices.
You're so much better than Thick Boy.
Ralph's not here, man.
I know. I know. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. So guys, as you know, we always love talking about EA. We love talking about Anthem. This is like, you know, Anthem's the flavor of the month at the moment. Yesterday, we did report that EA is terrified about what's happening with Anthem, like what's going to be happening in terms of like, is the fan base gone forever? Are people really going to tune in for Anthem? You know, it's kind of all in the balance. It's kind of hanging all in the balance of what's happening with the microtransactions and also like what's going to happen with the game itself.
And we got a bit more news on that front. The studio head, Casey Hudson, a very famous man in terms of the creation of the video games, especially in the last 15 years, made a blog post on the Bioware website.
Yeah, and he's done a few things. He's done Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Star Wars, Knights of the Republic. He's kind of a big deal.
And of course the Mass Effect trilogy, which was a phenomenal trilogy. I mean, ending of the third notwithstanding, we'll come back to that later. He made a blog post on the Bioware website, just outlining some differences on how they're going to be moving forward creatively and where they're going to sort of align their priorities in the creation of games.
Which I thought was super, like, it's definitely needed right now. Like, people need to feel like, you know, where's this game going? Aside from the microtransactions, I think a lot of people are also wondering who's manning the ship, what's the direction, what's the vision. Like, I think a lot of people want to have a sense of reassurance. And a guy like this, he's done a lot of good things in the past. So for him to kind of man this ship and go, guys, I'm here, you know, it gives a lot of people that know what he's done in the past a sense of pride and accomplishment. No, it gives them a sense of like, you know, this can actually really work out in the end, I think.
Bioware are a very storied development house, and generally their best projects have come under the sort of direction of Casey. It all sort of turned a bit sour. EA acquired Bioware. And that's when the last couple of projects that they've put out have been not quite up to the par. Dragon Age 2 was pushed out very quickly, 18 months. Way too short of a development cycle for a game that big. Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, in terms of that story, it
was well written.
Everyone loved the story of that.
That was Drew Carpathian.
That was Drew Carpathian. How do you say it?
Carpathian?
He says Carpathian. Can we have a comment section? It's Carpathian. I'm sure it's Carpathian. Okay, this guy has no idea what he's talking about, okay? And then he's the real layman here, okay?
We can't forget the debacle of the end of Mass Effect 3. The game itself, Mass Effect 3 was a great video game. It just lacked the direction in terms of the writing.
Yeah.
Because Drew Carpathian did depart. Let's not forget that though that entire trilogy was spectacular and was under the direction of Casey.
Yeah, and then we cannot forget about Andromeda, alright? Andromeda with the facial things.
Sorry, my face is tired. Sorry, my face is tired.
Hold on.
I want to tell you my secret now. I see dead people.
It was super weird, but like...
I'm so sad.
It was so weird, right? Like, aside from the actual story itself, it became like a total meme, this whole game, because the facial things were so fucked up.
That went into early access about 5 days before launch. Oh man. The memes that came out before launch must have just tanked the sales. Jason Schreier of Kotaku did a really detailed write-up of what exactly went wrong with that game. Now, there were two things. They didn't really have enough resources. It was sort of passed off to their B studio. But the big thing really was that there was no direction. So that was a 5-year development cycle for that game. Anecdotally, at least from internal and anonymous Bioware employees, they said most of it was done in 18 months. I mean, the first 3 years it was going to be some procedurally generated something.
Like a No Man's Sky kind of thing?
Yeah. They pulled that back 18 months later, 2 years from release, and completely rebuilt the game.
Which is a big task. I mean,
massive.
You can see why they would have had huge problems in terms of making sure this was like a AAA quality game.
Absolutely.
You know? It was so bad, right? So bad, but the DLC was even cut. Like, entirely. I don't actually think I've ever heard of a game like cutting their DLC like that because it was such a failure. But
it's pretty bad, especially for a game this big. But I mean, there was an entire story arc within that game detailing, what happened with the Quarians that just wasn't said to us. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that game released, EA,
they knew it was a sinking ship.
That's right, and
it was a CliffyB situation. So like, no, we're not going to go there.
Absolutely, and that segues perfectly into the words themselves from Casey Hudson on the blog post on the Bioware website. Casey Hudson goes into some detail about the missteps of Mass Effect Andromeda, the disappointment of the DLC's non-arrival, and a little sort of tease of what we can expect from Anthem. So Casey says, "When I returned to Bioware last summer, Mass Effect Andromeda had just been released, and there was a significant movement among players asking for a story DLC that would answer questions surrounding the fate of the Quarians. As you know, we were not able to deliver the story DLC for Andromeda. This was frustrating for us, as it was for the players, and it was something we knew we had to solve in future games."
So it's good that he's acknowledged the challenges, like he's acknowledged the problems that they had in the previous, but it's also kind of cheeky language, I think. It's quite cheeky, and he goes on to say this: "That experience ultimately became a defining moment in refocusing BioWare's mission. We needed to delight players with a new experience and innovation. But we must stay focused on the importance of the world, character, and storytelling elements that players expect from our games. And our games must be designed to continue delivering new stories and experiences in an ongoing relationship with players in the world we're evolving together." So what he's really saying there is he's calling out BioWare, in terms of Andromeda and how the brand's been damaged and how BioWare's brand's been ultimately damaged and how Andromeda pretty much just became a meme. So much so that they've actually shelved Mass Effect Andromeda's trilogy that they were planning.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a trilogy, now it's just been put on hold. The last point: it's in that spirit that we're working through production on Anthem, a game designed to create a whole new world of story and character that you can experience with friends in an ongoing series of adventures. It will be unlike anything you've played, we'll do it right, it'll feel distinctly Bioware. The end of that last sentence is the key point. In an ongoing series of adventures. Now, what does that mean? I think it means that we're essentially looking at strong hints at either episodic DLC or DLCs very similar to the structure of Destiny. That is to say, an annual expansion that does a few things, maybe some incremental updates throughout the months between those expansions, just to sort of pad it out and give the give the community and the player base an ongoing.
Go on. I'll go then.
Go on.
I also think it's also maybe in the wake of this whole microtransaction disaster that they I think that they really want to move towards a more DLC style monetization structure potentially. They might be looking at a cosmetic style of monetizing their games, but I think in the whole wake of this, they might really look to make sure that the bulk of their additional money made by any IP will be in fact made by, DLC. Good DLC that people can jump on and, they might have to pay $20 a pop.
It does raise questions though. Man, the same things that happened with Destiny. I mean, are we going to be sold a complete game at launch?
You know what Destiny 2 was? It was half the game that Destiny 1 was. It was a perfect example of if you put a game out there that is so half-cooked, it destroys not only the game, not only the IP, but also it tarnishes the development house that does it too. So there's a lot on the line there, there's a lot on the line. So in conclusion, final summation, right? Can we actually trust what BioWare is saying? I think that's the real question here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's BioWare have been in a tight spot, as we said, since the EA took over, and they've had some disappointments. I think with Casey at the helm, there's at least a good shot that they could get the direction that they need to really push out a good product.
100%.
There's been some reshuffles internally in BioWare and amongst the Anthem development staff. Notably, the loss of Drew Carpation last month.
Which was a huge blow.
So, I mean, we're going to see how that pans out. I think at the moment, EA are saying the right things, but it really is about management of expectations here. I mean, they've got a very established track record with how they do things in terms of their business. They can only really surprise us at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I am open to that.
Yeah, and I think that their business structure is set up in such a way that they can still make all the money in their Ultimate Team FIFA stuff, although we don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I think, as I said, I think a lot of those, sports fans are going to line up and the microtransactions are still going to roll in. So they can take a chance on Anthem and know that they don't need to make so much money in microtransactions to make this, a successful game. It's really about delivering on the promises, to the hardcore gamer, or to the gamer at least that's a bit more than just the sports kind of game sports lover. And this will build back the credibility they need for them to come back.
Yeah.
You know, so
Look,
a lot is on the line. That's the thing. A lot is on the line.
They're saying the right things. They've just got to do the right thing.
Yes.
And that remains to be seen.
And everybody, I know that we're all missing Ralph. Sadly, we have this loser for the next couple of weeks. And
Bring the talent, baby.
oh God, Jesus Christ, get me out of here.